Rule number one, you all must always be a great listener. If you ever get a chance to have an opportunity to see Michael Jackson's This Is It, that was his last performance. That guy was a great listener. Anybody, you know who's successful, they are great listeners. And he could pick up a beat with his feet, and he can tell one of his choreographers are off task, off beat, without even seeing them. He was that great of a listener. You ever seen the movie, the little documentary, Undercover Boss? Wow. You have to go back down, get off your high horse, listen to your employees to keep your corporation going. Rule number one is what? Rule number two, always, not sometimes, but always try your best. This is how you separate from being good to great. You know, when you go back to the dorm and take that nap in between classes, you get out at 10, you don't have another one until 12, 15, you go back and take a nap for hour 45, she's like, yeah, I understand. We have competitors around the world, kids, your ages, they're reading, they're researching, they're thinking of a way that they can create something totally different. I'm gonna share a story with you all. There's a new Ford vehicle out where if you have bags in your hand and you go to the trunk and you put your feet under the trunk pops up. I thought of that 5 years ago. I'm dead serious. And I was with my mom. I didn't act on it. And I say, wow, wouldn't that be great? We had a sensor or something that would automatically pop the trunk open. And I be dog, October 2012. And I saw the guy, he's smiling, the engineer, he just on TV smiling. I said, man, I thought of that 5 years ago. But he acted on it. We have to be innovators, and we have to always, not sometime, always try our best. And that's the process. When I played basketball, we had an old saying, we're not here to play, dream, or drift. We have hard work to do and heavy loads to lift. And that still applies with me today. In order for you to be successful, you have to be ready to work some long hours. You must be willing to pay the price. Where's the pay the price? There she goes. Y'all give her a round of applause. She just waved hers in the air. You have to be willing to pay the price. There's no elevator or escalator to success. You have to take the stairs, and the flight up is long. And finally, never give up. When I was in college, I was a real good basketball player. Guaranteed to go overseas, make $150,000, $200,000 a year. That was automatic. Am I lying, Mr. Anderson?
No, you're not.
I'll pay you your $29.99 after, as soon as we leave here for catching my back on that one. But I'm being facetious, but I was a great we had some great players come through this university. I don't know how the basketball team is now. But we had some, I don't know. No, we've had major big-time All-Americans come through this school. Darren? Big time. I was told what to major in because the academic courses would be too rigorous for me. I was told to major in recreation, just like many of the other athletes were. I had no problem with it. I was going pro. My salary was projected between $150,000 and $200,000 overseas. So I really didn't sweat it too much until I almost died on the basketball court. I came back several years later, and a friend of mine, we were talking. Mr. Anderson, He always hears everything. He was sitting somewhere over here. And I said, man, they made me major in recreation. They made him major in recreation as well. And was like, man, now we have to try to figure out what our path is going to be. And he came to me. And he said, what you going to do about it? And I said, about what? And he said, I heard y'all talking about your major. What are you going to do about it? And he may not remember this. And he said, are you going to barbecue or mildew? And that stuck with me. That stuck with me, Mr. Anderson. I was listening to you, and you didn't think I was. I was all over the place when I was in college. But I listened to you. And I decided to go back to school that particular semester. You have to be relentless in regardless of pursuing greatness. I went back, received my degree. I'm one of the top principals now in the country, soon to be superintendent. I like to win. You need to be obsessed with winning. Be obsessed with first place. I hate second place. To me, that only means you're the first person to lose. Do you remember the young lady who visited the president after the Olympics? She's a gymnast. I mean, she had like 4 gold medals, and she won 1 silver, and the president held up the silver medal, and she did like this. She's obsessed with greatness. And if you're going to be successful in anything, you need to adopt that philosophy. Remember those 3 rules of life. Rule number 1. Rule number 1. Rule number 2. Rule number 3. Never give up. Write them down. Remember those 3. In closing, I'll be through in a minute, Mr. Anderson. Let me share a story with you that occurred in Atlanta during the Seahawks game. When the Atlanta Falcons played the Seahawks, I was at one of my friend's house, and he had some bad little kids, about 4 little boys. They were just running around all in front of the TV, knocking over the nachos. And I just got upset, and I said, you know what? Let me think of something for these little guys to do. So I saw a newspaper. So I tore the newspaper. And Southwest Airlines have just opened a hub in Atlanta. So I ripped the paper in small pieces, and I grabbed the Scotch tape, and I said, I'm going to make these guys put this back together. You know, boys are kinesthetic learners. We like to use our hands. So I said, come here. I said, I have a challenge for y'all. We love a challenge. I said, I want y'all to put this back together. Third quarter's about to start. Seattle started coming back. I said, oh, yeah. I tore it up in little bitty pieces, too. And I said, y'all go upstairs. So they went upstairs. And these kids came back in less than 5 minutes. And I said, how did y'all put this? I was through. I was like, how did y'all put this back together? How did y'all put this back together so quickly? They say, well, Dr. Jackson, we put the black man back together again. What I didn't see was on the back was a picture of I Got Milk commercial with an athlete, and he said, we put the black man back together, and now, once we've done that, now we can find our place around the world. I was through. 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 I just wanted to share that story with you. To all my men, everyone in here, and the men who are involved in this organization, the African American Males Institute.